Welcome to another episode of Absolutely Fabulous. It's episode 61. You're here with Gillian and myself, and we're going to be talking about the Victorian fires, the new LAM ad, land development and permits, and we're also going to do
The announcement, the big announcement of the mini me competition, it was a struggle. So, but we're not going to do it yet. You have to listen to the whole podcast, guys. If you're desperate to find out, you have to listen to the whole podcast to find out who will be taking my place at the conference. So stay tuned.
Hi, welcome to Absolutely Fabulous. My name is Gillian Fennell, also known as Station Mum 101. I love everything about agriculture, especially the people and especially communicating about what makes Australian ag so special.
And I'm Katja Williams, a beef, cattle and cropping farmer, and I love all things ag, and I'm also known as the ultimate farm wife. Together, we are absolutely fabulous, and we are talking all things agriculture beyond the headlines.
And we can't wait to give our opinion to you, and we hope you enjoy it.
So let's get into today's episode. Right, Gillian, you suggested our first topic. We're going to do an update on the Victorian fires because it has come to our attention through the AgFabs that truthful information is not being circulated by the government or by news outlets. So, Gillian, you've got your feelers out. Give us an update on that.
Yes, so we've got a listener in Victoria who told us that there's been blatant lies being told by the Victorian government with regards to previous fire management and investment in the CFS. She said she wanted to punch her TV when she saw them up there blatantly lying. So, you know, this is a while ago now, even though Victoria is actually still on fire. Poor buggers over there under so much stress and pressure and losing so much country. It's ridiculous. But this is when the fires first started around 10 days ago. So that's how long this situation has been ongoing. The government's saying, oh, we've been doing this and we are being proactive and we're managing all this. And for the people on the ground, they have told me that that is absolutely not true, that they haven't been investing where they're supposed to be investing. The trucks are old and dangerous, that even if they said they have allocated more funds to the CFS, it hasn't actually reached the infrastructure and everything on the ground where you actually need those things to fight those fires. And everyone in Victoria who's a landholder is still upset because they still plan to implement the levy that will make the people who are out there fighting these fires pay for that privilege of putting their lives and their infrastructure in danger to fight fires on behalf of the entire state. We're talking about CFS volunteers. So it's a pretty dire state of affairs when, you know, governments feel the need to stand up and tell straight up lies about what they have and haven't been doing in order to cover their own arse, essentially, while volunteers are out there on the ground with substandard equipment, putting their lives at risk to protect the landscape and infrastructure for everybody and protecting towns, because we've seen a couple of circumstances in the last couple of days where fires have come very, very close to communities and towns. And, you know, yes, there are paid firefighters and that sort of things out there, but it's the CFS guys, the volunteers, or guys and girls, guys being the generic term for a whole group of volunteers. As you know, that's the official thing. I didn't make that up. Check it, Google it. I don't care. But yeah, it's extraordinary, the fact that the government continues to put the burden on the people who are actually doing all the heavy lifting, but yet, you know, the governments are the ones ultimately responsible for funding these things properly, putting these plans in place, and then enacting these plans to make sure that, you know, the countryside is managed properly. Yet it's volunteers who are putting their lives on the line repeatedly to cover up or to fix up or to make up for government's fuck ups. And I don't think Victoria's alone in this. They just happen to be the ones who are actively on fire at the moment. So they're the ones who are sort of feeling the pressure on this. Be very interesting if some of our other AgFabs from around Australia could let us know the state of things for your volunteer services in your state, to see if you are well supported and how you feel and whether the government is actually being proactive enough when it comes to fire management and those sorts of things. So yeah, let us know. But if you are one of the Victorian people out there and you have been affected by the fires, or if you have been out there on behalf of the community fighting those fires, there's plenty of assistance available. I would recommend that you get in contact with the Victorian Farmers Federation. If you're listening to this and you want to help the people who have been affected, the VFF, the Victorian Farmers Federation, do have a disaster emergency fund that you can donate to. Last I saw, they were looking for small bales of hay and trucks to transport same. So if you happen to have a shed full of hay that you would like to give away, get onto them. They will help coordinate it and they will help you make a difference. So yeah, that's that state of affairs, which is not great. What have you been up to, Kachi? You've been watching things on YouTube and Instagram? You got an advertisement that we need to talk about?
Oh yeah, sorry. I was like, can you see my viewing history? Yes, let's jump into the lamb ad. It's one of my favorite things to talk about, at this time of year. Every year they release it around Australia Day. I just think they just keep getting better and better. For those who haven't seen this year's lamb ad, it is all about happy Australians. So I think there's some propaganda going in there about, especially when we've just talked about the fires, lots of propaganda going on, but also a bit of tongue in cheek that it's quite clear that people are not happy. We're not being listened to, particularly in the agricultural space, and I definitely think that that comes through this ad. So they've got a group of auditors who have come in to double check Australia's happiness status. And anyway, it gets much better for the auditors, and the happiness status is reapproved after they eat some lamb, especially a lamb cutlet. Gillian, what did you think of the ad?
I'm not going to give, if you haven't seen it, you need to go and watch it. But I think my favorite part, I've got two favorite parts. One's the platypus. I'm not going to give away the context of the platypus, but you do. and the swimming on the beach. How can you be unhappy when you have, was it 50,000 kilometers of beaches? Can you swim there? Well, yeah, at your own risk. So which pretty much defines Australia. Yeah, at your own risk. You can go out into the bush at your own risk. I think it was sort of, and because it was very topical, and because these things are planned, 12, 18 months in advance, I don't think they realised how topical it was going to be, because this came off on the back of a terrible tragedy at Bondi, which was a shooting, which led some people to question, what sort of country is Australia even? It's a terrible place where these sorts of things can happen, et cetera, et cetera. And there was a lot of commentary, especially on social media, about, Australia's going downhill so rapidly and it's a terrible place to live. And then on the other side of it, it's like, no, actually, Australia is a pretty great country and we have a lot to be proud of. And if we can just focus on those things and perhaps move forward together with a more sort of, we can't have the rose-coloured glasses on. And because, again, around Australia Day, every single year we have the invasion and the, impacts of colonisation on Indigenous people and that sort of thing. So we can't forget what's happened in the past. But we, as a unit, as a whole country, we have a lot of good shit going on. So maybe let's just think about the good things and we can't forget the past, but we need to start working towards a better future for everyone. And that's, I found it very poignant in the fact that it should have, a lot of people should have listened to it and probably seen a bit. It's a good laugh and it's been really well crafted and everything like that. But it was, the timing especially was very poignant. And I think they made the right decision releasing it. I think it was just what the country needed. And interestingly, this year, every year without fail, I see some farmer saying that was shit, or what are they even trying to do? It's not even funny. Not understanding the fact that A, you're not their target market, and B, you don't even pay for meat. So you'll be definitely not trying to advertise this product to you who makes this product. Like, you are not the target market here. I did not see a single primary producer say they didn't like that ad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because often it does lean a bit too much towards our urban audience, which is, which is fine because they're the ones actually paying money for our product. But I think that the advertising agency, they just nailed it this time. Everyone was happy. And that is so incredibly rare when you make something like this. So, and I even saw some commentary from some, some very prominent Australians saying, who made that ad? That's amazing. That's the most incredible ad I've ever seen. And that was just awesome. So congratulations, MLA and the advertising agency who pulled that together. Hopefully next time I'm in the MLA office, I do see another trophy in your cabinet when it comes to getting rewarded for that. If you don't know what that means, in the MLA office in Sydney, there's a cabinet and it is full to the brim of trophies that the agencies have won for their lamb ads. There's a whole stack of them. And this one, I think, is right up there. It definitely deserves a trophy.
I think we need a photo of that next time you're in there, Gillian.
I'll have to have a look back through my camera roll because I'm fairly certain I did take one last time I was in there, but I'll have a look back through and if I can find it, I will put it up.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
We've also had some AgFabs who have written in because they're starting to have some issues with some permits, whether that is land development or just wanting to build a shed in their backyard, and they're having issues with that. Gillian, you've popped this one in our board for discussion. It was flagged with you. Take it away.
Yeah. So this is one of our AgFabs from Western Australia where they have councils and those sorts of things. See, where I live, I'm generally blessed in the sense that I'm quite protected from this type of thing because we don't have a council. We also don't have any neighbours who can see what we're doing unless they decide to trespass or put a drone in the air. So when it comes to building a garden shed or doing those sorts of minor infrastructure things around the homestead, we're generally pretty safe. Obviously, when we're doing major infrastructure works that involve changing water courses like dams and all those, you have to get your permits and inspections and that sort of stuff. That's par for the course. We know that. So one of our AgFab listeners over in WA is trying to do some stuff in her own home where she believes is pretty straightforward. And what's pissing her off the most is that just down the road from her, there is like housing developers who've willy-nilly knocked down trees and made a huge mess and everything else and not adhered to any permit conditions, and they're literally breaking the law. Yet no one's saying a word to them, yet she can't even do some work in her own like sort of domestic block where, I'm of the opinion if you want to do something on your house block and it's not going to like ruin your neighbor's life or cause like a fire or anything like that, it's your quarter acre of land. You should be able to build whatever you like, provided it's safe and not going to ruin everyone else's fun. But we've got this situation here where ordinary people can't do things, and yet corporations and companies and investment things are allowed to go willy-nilly breaking the law. And then if they get found out, it's like, oh, well, you did this bad thing, and they're like, oh yes, we're very sad now, and look at my pretty shiny press release, and let's not talk about the rules and laws that I broke. Let's just talk about all these marvelous things that I'm doing, and hey, I have a hefty donation, and let me build you a playground. And like this, it's this two-tiered system in Australia, which is, I think, sort of upsets a lot of people, and I think is what's driving a lot of what we're seeing. Like, I won't say social unrest because we're not out in the streets sort of, protesting or anything like that, but people are really starting to get jack of this bullshit. It's like, we understand we have to have laws and we understand we have to have rules because otherwise we'd all be living in a shanty town because some people can't be trusted and houses would be falling down willy-nilly. But why can I not build a simple structure in my house, a garden shed or a pathway or a greenhouse without mountains of regulations and paperwork and everything else? Yet I can, a big company can roll up and bulldoze a heap of trees and interfere with all the drainage and the water systems and everything like that and break a heap of environmental laws, and not a single thing is done about it. Like, you cannot keep putting these rules, and farmers feel this very keenly. We are forced to adhere to a lot of different environmental regulations and all these sorts of things. But yet we see other industries and other people doing way worse stuff, like wholesale environmental destruction But yeah, no, we won't even talk about that because they've got more money than you, Mr. Individual Farmer Brown. So we're going to come down hard on you for, building a fence where you shouldn't have built a fence without permission. Like, it's this two-tiered approach of how it's governed and how it's applied, which I think is really starting to irk people.
And I think it's different between each state as well. Each state and each council have very different regulations on this. It's not a cookie cutter situation when it comes to this. So even in WA, they've got different legislation than what New South Wales does. Now, part of one of the legislation changes that they wanted to do, and we had to vote on last year before, that didn't go through, was because of this, because people are getting sick and tired of being told what they can and can't do on the land that they buy, having different layers of what they can and can't do depending on their council legislation, their state legislation. And it's all getting too confusing for them. It's getting too over-policed. It's getting too complicated. And sometimes, if you are in a commercial, not even a commercial building, sorry, let me say that again. If you are working out of your home and say, even if it's not a farm, even if it's in the CBD, it's licensed to be a dual purpose home, and now you're trying to work out between the difference ruling between domestic and commercial law because the house is now both.
Yeah.
So the legislation doesn't line up. So, sometimes if you're doing that, it's illegal to do it one way, but it's perfectly fine the other. And you've got to find that legal balance and include extra paperwork, extra permits, lawyers, everything has to be involved now. And it could be something as simple as a backyard shed that doesn't even need a foundation on it, doesn't even need a concrete block. And you've gone through all of this stuff and months of paperwork and approvals for a little
and
2x2 concrete
fees
slab.
and inspection fees. And it's ludicrous that we have all these different, and I believe they make them deliberately complex and challenging to understand. Because then you look at it, like the average person will look at it and go, oh, that's really hard for me. I need to get professional assistance to lodge this. So they're like just building this industry around themselves, because who consults for councils to tell them what paperwork and stuff they need? Surveyors and engineers and solicitors. They all say, oh, well, you need your paperwork to say this and you need your paperwork to say that. I remember back in the day when I worked on council, like the application to build a house was pretty basic, but it said all the right things. And we had a building inspector and he'd go out there and he'd make sure you're doing everything correctly. Now there's this layer upon layer upon layer. You've got your council, you've got your state, you've got your federal, and then you've got environmental, and then you might have Aboriginal heritage. Like it is just so hard to do anything. And then people get upset, like the government get upset when people go, you know what? Fuck this, I'm just going to build it. If they catch me, I'll fight it in court. Let's see how we go, because there's a really good chance that they won't catch me anyway. And then you get people dobbing each other in. It is like, we talk a lot about, like, as a society, about social cohesion and all this sort of stuff. It's just like this overlaying, this consistent tangling us all up in red and green tape is making it worse, because it's, you might have a real do-gooder who lives on your street who wants to dob you in for everything, for, like, making your fence too high or pulling up some paving bricks or something. It's just like, the next thing you know, you've got people knocking on your door, and while you're there, they're going to inspect every single thing in your whole house yard. It's just, we need to, if you want to have good outcomes, you need to make it easy for people to comply. You can't keep putting layers and layers of complexity on it, because, we all know about the cost of living and everything like that. So if you have to choose between paying someone to lodge this development application fee for a $500 garden shed, or running the risk of just putting it up, you're just going to put it up. Like, and then the councils will be sulking because, oh, you should have got a development application fee for that, and now we're going to fine you and this and that and everything else. And so you get tangled up in court, and it's just so frustrating. It's like petty bureaucracy, but it goes all the way to the federal government. It's just crazy.
One of those things that we definitely need to re-simplify. So thank you guys for putting in all those AgFab topics that we were able to cover here on the podcast. We love hearing from you. Keep sending them in. You can
We
find
love
us
it.
on our
We
socials
will get
individually or the page.
we will get up on our soapbox on your behalf every time. Give us something to rant about.
We got you. We got you.
Yeah.
So let's talk about early bird tickets. The Harvest to Power conference, we've talked about it every week for months and months and months now. It is coming up very soon on the 23rd and 24th in Dubbo here at the Taronga Western Plains Zoo. We have so many amazing speakers and panelists coming in to have a great chat. It is a big community. It is all about networking. It is all about taking away those one percenters. It is personal development, if you want to use that word. It is about you to build resilience, to build consistency, and it is for you, not the farm business. So it doesn't matter what role you have on the farm, this is for you. And I've even had some messages come through saying, we're not farmers, but I'm interested in this topic. Absolutely, come across. If you are interested in skincare, either injectables, non-injectables, if you are interested in grounding and alignment, if you want to come and see Fiona MacArthur, our lead speaker at the cocktail party, 100% grab your tickets. Early bird tickets close on the 31st of January at 11:30.
Which God knows what that is in your time zone. Or if you're from out of state, I got no idea. Just do it before you go. If you can't, just do it before you go to bed. Okay, I cannot be held responsible for people's time zones. It's just too hard for me. Do you know what though, Katja? You did a bit of Q&A over on Facebook about the thing, and I asked if I could pet the animals if I was going, and you said no, which I think is bullshit. But not recommending this as a course of action, of course, because I don't want to be held legally liable in case someone does take this idea up as an actual thing. You could swim across the lake to the island where the lemurs live.
Good luck getting over that fence. They've got
Yeah,
they're called ha-has. So
yeah.
ha-ha, if you haven't heard of what it is it looks like there's no fence. You're in line with the animals because the animal enclosure has been built up. But there is a little gully between you and the lemurs, and not only have you got like water, you've also got electric fence and all sorts of things. So definitely don't recommend it. If you do want to have an animal encounter and experience, there are zoo talks where you can go to. Some of them even you can even feed. So you can feed like the giraffes some carrots, or you can feed some of the other animals. So look those up. They're paid experiences. And if you want to get in a safari vehicle and go for a drive around, they've also got the Savannah tour.
And you can get in a boat, can't you, and cruise around the lake in a
Yeah.
kayak or something. Not that I was like, as everyone knows how I feel about water, but if you're that way inclined, you could do that. But no, it was such a really great venue, the Dubbo Zoo. The room's beautiful. It's like lots of natural air and light, which you don't often get at a lot of these conferences. You know, it opens out onto the lawn. So if you've got little ones and they want to, take a little walk around on the grass and that sort of thing, like you can, and they can sit on the little veranda. So I was sitting out there with one little boy last year on the veranda, and we were chucking rocks in the garden and getting upset about the state of the garden beds. Lucky we didn't get pinged by the groundskeeper for that. We did a bit of landscaping on their behalf. But yeah, and you can still sit on the veranda and still hear what's going on inside. All those sorts of things, and it's just really relaxed and casual, and it is just a really nice. Parking is easy. It's really easy to get a park. It's nice and close. You don't have to worry about dragging the pram over 100 different bumps or anything like that. It's really easy to get there. So don't let that put you off. But yeah, we do have a bit of an announcement. Everyone's been listening to us waffle on, Karcher, to find out who is going to be my mini-me at the conference.
We've had so many entries, so thank you to everybody who has put in entries. We have Gillian's mini-me to announce tonight, and we also have another ticket which has been sponsored by Rachel. So Rachel is a wellbeing and leadership facilitator and the founder of She Farmer, supporting rural women to achieve new levels of success by strengthening both personal wellbeing and leadership capacities. She's a fourth-generation Pole Merino farmer and is passionate about supporting forward-thinking rural women. So Thank you so much, Rachel, for donating an extra ticket that we're going to announce the winner to, as well as Gillian's mini-me tonight. If you are interested in any of that type of wellbeing and leadership facilitation, Rachel, look her up. She's She Farmer at shefarmer.com.au, and you can see her successful matrix masterclasses and workshops up on her website. Thank you so much, Rachel, for also donating a ticket. And we're going to announce the two winners of both of those now. So, Gillian, take it away.
Yeah, so I was so blown away by the videos. I really, and I was starting to feel really sad, Katja, like watching the videos and like
you're getting some FOMO.
Yeah, and like everyone was so genuine and like they just wanted to, like they want to be a part of this community. And for me, it's all about community and supporting community. So my mini me, or actually my maxi me, Fiona, is going to be you, because you've been a part of our community from the very, very beginning. And you've always been a great supporter of ours. For those of you listening along, Fiona has come to every single one of our fundraisers. She's always chatting to us on the socials. She's always engaged, and has just been a great supporter of the show. So I can't think of anyone better to take my place in Dubbo than Fiona. And because, I now live in South Australia, and Rachel's from South Australia, and Fiona's from South Australia, and I'm from South Australia, we had a bit of a chat, Katja and I, and we would also like to send Keely, who is another young lady from South Australia, over to Dubbo, because having that interstate connection into these sorts of things is really valuable. It spans networks. You get to meet so many new people. You get to see a heap of different country. When I drove across there, like last year, it was incredible, the amount of different things that I saw for the very first time. And so, yeah, Fiona and Keely, congratulations. You are off to the Harvest Her Power conference in Dubbo, and pack your swags, because you can even camp at the Airbnb, so you don't have to worry about paying for accommodation. So, yay, have fun, enjoy it, and send me lots of photos and put lots of stuff up, and have a great time. I hope you get a lot out of it.
Congratulations, everybody. If you have submitted a video and you weren't announced as one of our winners, we still do have feelers out for other companies and businesses to donate tickets. So cross your fingers and see how we go. We might even have some more announcements coming up very shortly. But thank you so much to everybody who has listened to this week's episode. The next 2 episodes will be interviews, so that Gillian and I can get our heads sorted around Evoke Ag and the conference and have a bit more freedom. But don't worry, we'll be back at the end of February, sitting here both together, giving another incredible episode. So send through your research, send through your articles and reels. We would love to see them, and we would look forward to being back here in February.
Bye, guys. I'm so sad I'm missing out on the conference.